Is it important? It's very crucial.
Groovy.
Little stereo.
I'll say kick it, and you'll just kick it with a tasty groove, okay? 1, 2, 3, kick it.
Woo!
Oh, hi, Mark.
He likes.
It's time for the most crucial podcast with your host, me, Mark Franchise.
Meow.
Hi, welcome back to the most crucial podcast. It is Mark Franchise. Appreciate you guys watching, tuning in every time we are lucky enough to talk to a new artist. You can subscribe on our YouTube channel. Just search 1049 The Edge. Subscribe there. We've got some awesome interviews up there already. We've talking to present members of Chicago and Iron Maiden as well today. Another super crucial guest with me, an incredible blues musician from Chicago who is ready to release his brand new album. It is The Preacher, The Politician, or The Pimp. We're talking to Toronzo Cannon today. Thank you very much for hanging out with me, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good, dude, good. So your first experience with music, you bought your first guitar, I believe it was, when was it? When you were in your early 20s. But we're going back to your first experiences with music. Blues wasn't actually the first genre that spoke to you, correct? Because you were really heavy into reggae.
Yeah. I first picked up the guitar. I was, at that time, listening to a lot of Bob Marley and, growing out dreadlocks and all that stuff,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, so that was a thing, in my young years. But, things started coming full circle when I started going to jams. And everywhere in Chicago is a blues jam. I got kind of redirected, but basically kind of like back home because all of the songs that we were jamming to were songs that were played in my house.
Right.
As a kid, Yeah, it wasn't a genre when I was a kid. It was just blues, or music that my parents listened to, my grandparents,
Yeah, exactly. And that was the thing with the blues, too. That's one thing about blues music that I've always stood by is that it's really a live experience. It's great that we have so many recordings, but a lot of what the blues is it's kind of an internal language. It's not necessarily what you're playing, but there's a reason that you're playing the way you are. It's a feeling. It's an emotion. And when you get right down to it, whether it's heavy metal or it's rock and roll, when you're playing something with real passion, the root of all that is the blues.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's Ray Manzarek said he made a quote. He said, "If it wasn't for the blues, was to be playing minuets."
Absolutely.
I'm like, wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was Ray Manzarek from The Doors, so
right.
He's pretty accomplished in what he does.
Yeah. You've had tons of influences, obviously Bobby Guy, Albert Collins, of course, B.B. King, Albert King, Lil Ed, and the Imperials. And when did you exactly find your sound when it came to playing the blues? And is there particular gear that you use in order to capture the unique sound that you have?
No, I just, everyone, I guess every guitar player wants to, of course, emulate their heroes and do what they can to emulate their heroes, and then you just all of a sudden you just kind of come out being yourself while trying to reach what you think is, the peak of, greatness.
Yeah, absolutely. And you hear about all these bands who talk about all these great influences, and I think that's something that's still alive today in music. It's a little bit harder to find those musicians who are taking those influences and pointing the music in a new direction rather than just kind of imitating and doing what's easy and doing what's comfortable for people. I think some people have kind of fallen into a rut where they kind of like the same thing that they've heard before, and they're kind of afraid to try out new sounds and open their minds up to new, different kinds of music. And I still think that's out there now. It's just a little bit more difficult to find these days.
Yeah, I mean, once you realize, you can't be the next Buddy Guy or the next Jimi Hendrix or the next, Elmore James or anything like that. This is me. This is all I have to offer to the people is me.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And and the public, the listening public will hear influences of who you did. And then when you come out with your own personality, or my own personality, I like to talk to the audience and kind of make it a commune kind of thing where we just kind of together in this space right now and let's just, enjoy each other and, and kind of celebrate life or whatever, or just being in this space, kind of became my, my thing, along with just playing, of course, playing guitar and trying to, reach the heights of some kind of sounds to go with the music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So. Yeah.
You've got a really soulful and yet powerful voice. And like I had mentioned, when it comes to the blues and when you're playing, sometimes you're feeling a certain way and you just kind of project your voice in a different way, depending on the mood. And are there any tricks to how you keep your voice so fresh while you're playing, or have you just found the comfort zone within yourself?
No, I just, I try to hit the notes when possible,
right.
and try not to sound like Miles Davis, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, because my songs are story driven. So, I can't sound like Miles Davis or like I've been swallowing sandpaper, for the past 30 minutes and then try to, tell my stories,
Yeah, no doubt.
So, I just, I find a way to get my stories across. But, yeah, I don't do any. I don't have a special regiment of drinking lemons and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And, so, yeah.
Well, from 1996 to 2002, you played as a sideman with Tommy McCracken, Wayne Baker, Brooks, L.V. Banks, and Joanna Connor as well. And this kind of inspired you to headline your own band with Cannonball Express.
Yes.
How does the Toronzo Cannon and the Chicago Way differ from the Cannonball Express, or was the Chicago Way just kind of an evolution of your music?
It's the evolution. In the beginning, when you're first coming out, almost every blues song has a train reference in it, or most blues songs, have a train reference. And I figured, Cannonball Express, okay, maybe I'll play on those words or whatever. And I noticed at that time all the promoters were saying, if they had to put my name up in a marquee or something like that, they were saying, Cannonball Express was too long, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
Which the Chicago Way is probably not much shorter, but, at that time, I didn't fully appreciate the legacy of what Chicago offered to the blues world. And me being a bus driver, me born and raised on the south side of Chicago, and being part of the city and this energy for 51 years now, I had this deeper appreciation for Chicago blues and what it had to offer, and the giants that landed here from down south, and created a sound. That's why I named my band the Chicago Way, because it has a negative vibe to it, because Chicago Way means like bribes and payoffs and,
right.
Getting things done, like the Untouchables movie, where it's like, if he puts one of yours in the hospital, you put one of his in the morgue. Instead of like, oh boy, like the Al Capone thing.
Yeah.
but I'm trying to change that phrase, and make it where it's just like, you live in the city. We have a way we do things in Chicago. We have a way we do our blues in Chicago, and it's coming from the greats, again, like Elmore James and Muddy Waters and Earl Hooker, and and then J.B. Hutto, and then it goes up to John Primer and Little Ed and Lonnie Brooks, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Coco Taylor. So it has a thing. And again, me being more proud in what I was, where I was living, my region, Chicago, and I want to represent Chicago well when it comes to this blues,
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of understand what you're saying too, because the beauty of music is that there is so much of it. And one thing that I love and something that I think that is special about music is that I've always found that it finds a way into your life almost exactly when you need it, whether it comes to certain bands, certain songs. I feel like music is just kind of universal like that, where it comes to you and man, it just hits you and it takes you to a place that just other things can't reach you in terms of emotion and understanding.
Well, I tell people, especially young people, there's a spirit in music, and they're like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. And then I ask the question, have you ever heard a song that you really like and you got like goosebumps on your arm? And they say, wow, yeah. I said, so you get the physical reaction from nothing that's physically touching you.
Right.
So like, where do you think that's coming from? It's coming from something, that's not physically touching you, but you're getting a physical reaction. So there's a spirit in the music that makes you feel good or can make you feel like you want to work out, make you feel rebellious, make you, you know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Things like that. So, you know, and then they say, they get the full circle moment thing.
Yeah.
You know.
And in a span of 13 years, from 2003 to 2016, you released 3 albums, 2017's My Woman, which was a self-release, along with 2011's Leaving Mood, and 2013's, which actually was nominated for the Blues Music Award, John the Conqueror Root. Those were released off Delmark as well.
Yes. My first 2 independent CDs was Ain't No Stranger.
Okay.
And that was 2004. And then the second one, My Woman, was 2007.
Okay.
Delmark picked me up for 2 CDs, 2011, 2013, I think it was, or 14.
Gotcha. Are the self-released albums, are those available through Alligator?
No. I used to, you know, do the old school, sell them out the trunk.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And, you know, so once in a while I'll go to a distributor and I'll get them and sell them for like, you know, $10 or whatever, you know, because those were my first attempts to try to figure out the music thing, you know. On my second one, I still wrote like all my songs, you know, my second album, My Woman.
Yeah.
So I was, you know, I was in the you know, the first part of trying to just not sing covers, you know what I mean? I'm a believer in not just rehashing covers, because we can't sing the songs better than you know, the creators, like, you know, I mean, you can. There's certain songs where you put your spin on it and put your taste. Yeah. But, you know, if there's so many versions out there of Sweet Home Chicago or something like that, it gets a little, you know. No, I understand, you know, doing it on the shows, maybe, you know, to bring the crowd into it and things like that. But
yeah, plus I'm sure the itch to create too. It's, like you said, you can play those songs and, you know, kind of bring the crowd to their feet. Yeah. That's the thing about live blues music is a few years ago we went to see Walter Trout and I'd never seen him before. And man, it was just phenomenal. And a musician as well, when I had gone to see Commander Cody, every song that he played I knew, and it was just from listening to music my whole life, and I was blown away. And that's something that live blues music is bringing back to live music, is to be able to just capture somebody and make them a fan instantly because of the way the music made them feel while they were watching it. And I think that's the importance of creating as well. Yeah, I mean, but like I said, when you're in the studio, you know, I think songs should be your songs, or songs that you collaborate with another writer or something, you know. Yeah. Because that's precious studio time. You know, people kill for studio time, you know what I mean? Yeah. To get in and put something down, their thoughts, things that could be, you know, like celebrated for years afterwards, you know, 100 years, 50 years. Yeah. You know, I don't think when Muddy and all those guys were creating their songs, you know, some written by Willie Dixon, when they were creating their songs, I don't think that they thought it would be, this is going to last 100 years. But right. It's like, it's last, you know, not 100 years now, but it's last a significant amount of time and has changed some people's minds and have brought people out of some depressions, made people happy and the whole thing. So, you know, that's why I try to write my songs. I know my life. Yeah, and I think there's something to be said about that, too, because, you know, the 70s and 80s, people were literally starving, living in vans, just so that all the money they pooled together would go into the studio. So they literally were pouring their lives into their creation. Yeah. I mean, there's a certain hunger when you want to create something and not just, you know, again, like live shows, like you said, bring the crowd to their feet so they can have something to sing along to and all that. But I've noticed I've been singing my songs so long, people now they ask for my songs like Walk It Off and when you tell them about me and Fine Season Woman, you know, so now my songs are sing along and they know the punchlines of the songs and things like that on Walk It Off, you know, the Chicago way kind of thing. So, you know, if you sing your song, like right now, I'm at a point in my career, I don't have to sing any covers. Right. At all. You know, I might do something to harken back to a song where people say, oh, wow, okay, that's cool how he put those two together or whatever. But I got probably 4 hours of show where I don't have to sing any covers. That's great. And people always ask, how do you get blues? Like, how do you keep the genre alive?
And I think that's part of it. You create your own songs.
That's really the only way people are going to remember them. It's the most important, like I said, the itch to create, and then you want to share that with people. And if they pick up on it, man, all the better. Because now, those songs that, people want to hear, now they want to hear your music.
Yeah. Well, like on the new album, I've created something it harkens back to a Jimmy Reed, it's blues. It's like a Jimmy Reed lump, as they call it.
Yeah.
But I'm doing very topical, like I did on the last CD, very topical situations. You know what I mean? And this one is called Insurance. And it's, it's got a Jimmy Reed lump, and it talks about, the things that you have to do to get certain, like, insurance.
Yeah. No doubt. And, there's a little comedy in there, too.
Yeah, but there's a part in the middle of the song where, it says, I read in the paper the other day, a man lost his spouse. She's pushing up daisies. Now he can't pay the bills. Now he's lost his house.
Yeah.
So, and everybody get quiet on that part, but it's like, you have to throw in some medicine.
Yeah.
In the poison, you know what I mean, in the laughter or whatever, you have to throw in a little medicine. So they say, "Wow."
No doubt.
But it's I'm not trying to preach to anybody, but it's just I try to create songs that that's around you, that's around you every day, but you just don't really realize it. You're like, oh wow, yeah, insurance. Yeah, I need to go re-up my insurance. Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and check that out.
And those are songs that can save people too. Like I said, that's all about creating, is talking about your experiences. The thing that you experience is probably the same thing somebody else is going through or dealing with. So when they hear something like that, they can relate, and that's what really that's how music has the ability to change people's lives and help them through hard times as well. Yeah, and it's that common denominator, that hits every race, every sex, every whatever. It's like. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing that penetrates everybody's life. And I try not to write songs as far as, like, what I call, and what Gatemouth Brown called women-hating songs. Yeah. I mean, there's a situation like this, a song, actually, my opening song on my new CD called Get Together or Get Apart. And it's not a thing where it's like, where I did something wrong and she did something wrong. It's just a situation where it didn't work. Yeah. So, you get together or you get apart. I mean, that's basically it. And, dude, I'm going through something just like that. So, like right now in my life, it's just like where, and again, it's like I mentioned earlier, it's just music coming into your life the exact time you need it. And, like I said, Alligator was cool enough. They sent me the digital copy of the album, and I listened to it 3 times through. And that's something that I was just, as soon as I listened to it the 3rd time, I was like, man, I got to get a hard copy of this. Is it actually going to be on vinyl by chance? I've been trying to talk to Bruce about vinyl, and maybe we can get some copies out. But we're in negotiations right now. Gotcha. Yeah, for sure. But that song Insurance that we had talked about, I've gotten not a lot, but I've gotten a significant amount of messages on Facebook, like my Facebook friends, or even when I posted that song, because I had a song, I gave it as a free download, and Billy Branch played a harmonica on it, and Eddie Taylor Jr. That's cool. Which is the son of Eddie Taylor. Yeah. And we did an acoustic version of it, and all the comments, people were saying, dude, that is my life. Yeah. As far as even to the point of losing a spouse, and now they're behind in their mortgage or whatever, that kind of thing. And, again, not to be a downer, but the blues is about real life. I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, you just kind of bring it to life. Anybody interested as well, The Preacher, The Politician, or The Pimp is available. It's going to be available September 20th, so 1 week away. It's going to be next Friday. And if you want to check it out, your website is toronzocannon.com, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Because just listening through it, one of the things that really stood out about the album is that you're able to capture so many emotions, not even emotions as well, but also so many different sounds. It's got such a cool feeling to it. She Loved Me Again. You can tell right off the rip that this is a song that's shooting from the heart, and you can just kind of sit back and enjoy the language that your guitar is speaking. It's just one of those jam, just let it flow blues songs. And then, a song like the first 24, I'm a huge fan of like Lightning Hopkins and like kind of that Delta blues.
Oh, yeah.
And you made it sound like that song was just capturing the emotion of the Delta blues. Like it just took you to another place. And that's what really kind of stood out about this new album is it's got a lot of different emotions and sounds and feelings in it. And it's just such a fresh thing to hear in a time where a lot of music is starting to kind of sound the same.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I always wanted to, try my hand and slide and things like that. And, the first 24 is about, we've lost some blues soldiers early this year in Chicago.
Yeah.
Like five before April. You know what I mean? It was just like, wow, what is going on?
Yeah.
I had already wondered how the first 24 hours of death is. And like, what do you see while we're down there mourning? Does the person actually go through? Is there a time difference? That's why my voice changed in different ways. Like,
yeah.
And I had to add sounds. I want to kind of paint a sound picture, as they say, I guess.
Yeah, no doubt.
If we're down here 2 minutes or a minute mourning, is it a whole day for them, or is it a year, or vice versa?
Right.
So and that's why I had sounds just kind of going through the ears. I don't know if you heard it on the earphones and things like that. But I just had a lot of stereo going on that one, and just kind of freaking it out a little bit, morphing my voice.
Yeah. Like you said, you touch on a lot of different topics too. The last track on the album, kind of get the feeling it's, about abuse and kind of dealing with the...
overcoming adversity.
Yeah.
In your life or whatever. The first, me being a bus driver for Chicago, I see a lot. And that first story about domestic abuse, there was a lady that got on my bus. And I worked that particular route for 6 months.
Yeah.
So you kind of get to know the people and your passengers, and if they're going to be on vacation or if they're running late. It's kind of like a thing.
Yeah.
And I became kind of like bus driver, passenger friends with her. She would always be the first person on my bus in the morning.
Oh wow.
And because it was at the end of the line.
Yeah.
So that was her area. She'd get on and we'll talk. I'd say, hey, how you doing? Blah blah blah. And we became just, again, bus driver, passenger friends,
Yeah, no doubt.
So one morning she got on, and it's probably 5 months into the route or whatever. And she was kind of sitting there and, just kind of quiet. And I was like, hey, everything cool? She's like, no, it's okay. And me just being, because we were cool, I guess. I said, what, your boyfriend acting up or something like that?
Yeah.
And she pulled down her T-shirt just a little bit on her shoulder and showed me the bruise on her shoulder.
Oh, my gosh.
And I was like, wow. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I didn't see the signs. She always used to wear shades. She had a gash on her nose one time because she worked in a daycare.
Yeah.
And I just figured, I'm thinking, okay, I see the gash or the bruise, so maybe a kid or something, maybe, it hit her or something.
Yeah.
Because she worked in a daycare, there's certain things that might happen. But all of that started coming back to me of the signs. Maybe she's running for the bus for a reason, because, she has to, get out of the house and wait till he leaves or something like that or whatever. The glasses, the shades that she wore all the time could have been hiding black eyes and things like that. And it just freaked me out for the rest of my time on that particular route.
Yeah.
Whenever I would see her. And that's how I hooked up with some of my friends that work in the industry of domestic abuse. And she said, I know that kind of thing. And was very humble about it. And shortly after that, I changed routes, and I haven't seen her since, And my friends haven't told me that if they contacted her or not, or she contacted them. But that was the first lyric of that particular song.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So again, I'm trying to write from a real place and things that I know about, things that I've experienced, and hopefully it will resonate with someone who's in a situation.
Did you say
it's all about overcoming adversity? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Did you say that she actually does the vocals on that track?
No.
Okay.
This is another woman. No.
Okay.
This is another woman. No, I haven't seen her. I haven't seen her since, I've seen her one time after I gave her the phone number for help and asked her if she called my friends and things like that,
Yeah.
And she said, no, not yet, that kind of thing. So,
gotcha.
And shortly after that, I changed routes.
Gotcha. You're a driver for Chicago Transit Authority, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 25 years.
Wow. Okay. Just doing that and being around people, it's moving, and it's just the experiences that you're witnessing are turned into music, not for the fact that, okay, I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it in a song, but it's real life. It's something that somebody's really dealing with, and maybe somebody somewhere is dealing with the same exact thing. They don't have an outlet for it, and that music can act as their outlet, and like I said, save people, maybe inspire them to find the strength to move on from something like that and be stronger than the abuse that they're going through.
Certain things happen. Like yesterday, I was talking to two of my guitar friends about Hendrix guitar, Woodstock. I don't want to deplete all my good pressures for this guitar, and we're just going back and forth talking about it as I'm driving down the street, and lo and behold, there's a guy just, walking down the street downtown. He's got a Jimi Hendrix shirt on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, where did that come from? Like,
right.
We're talking about Jimi Hendrix and all this stuff, and I'm going through these emotions about whatever. And there's some random guy just walking down the street with a Jimi Hendrix shirt on. So I would hope that some of my songs would be that. I don't know if they call that osmosis or not.
Yeah.
But I would hope some of my songs would be that in the context of, insurance or overcoming adversity, or, if you're in an abusive relationship. Like, in the second, these are topics that I guess traditional blues men don't cover or won't approach because there's a taboo or stigma to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The second story to that song, I'm Not Scared, is about a gay teen.
Yeah.
And then the third one is about immigration, and I just wanted true voices in those particular songs because I couldn't convey that by singing it, And sometimes I think people get tired of my voice, the whole CD. You know what I mean? It's like, let's have something just kind of like, like stand people up like, oh, wow, what's this? I know what opus should embarrassed, I guess. I didn't know what an opus meant. And the bass player, he's like, wow, dude, that's an opus. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
I just wanted to sound dynamic. Okay,
right.
Opus. So then as he turns his back, I'm looking like opus. I'm Googling opus.
Exactly. I think people sometimes confuse politics with morals. You go back to why the blues began. It was an escape of a completely oppressive world that people were living in, and it was their only escape from it, and it was the only way that they could find to express themselves. And more people started listening in. Now there are so many different groups and people that are being oppressed that, like you said, it's some taboo to some musicians because they don't want to touch it. But I think, again, people are confused and they get politics wrapped up in everything. And it's like, politics aside, it's just about having a good moral fiber and just living in peace. And it's really not a difficult thing to do, but on a grand scale, you're dealing with so many people and so many ideas and things that people prioritize, and it can get really nasty. But the fact that you're kind of giving people a voice, or you're giving these stories a voice and showing it like, no, this is the same thing that we were dealing with years ago, but it's coming from a different place now. Now all these other people are being oppressed, and it's just it's ugly, but it's sweet that you're kind of giving them a voice, and you get the feeling that the music that you're listening to is genuine and you're not coming from a place, I'm just trying to make money. You're coming from a place where, this is important.
No, you're right, man. Being on that bus, man, you see a lot.
Yeah.
And if you choose to see it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some bus drivers, they say, you know what, or people in life, if people just come home from work, whatever, you can be a passenger. You choose what you want to see and what you want to feel. And some people are like, you know what, that's not my problem. Yeah. I'm just trying to get to work. I got my own problem.
Right.
That kind of thing. And I understand that too, but, me being a writer, me being a musician, sometimes you have to open up, well, not sometimes, but you should, as a musician, you should open up that part of your heart or your brain or whatever you do to receive things, in your spirit. It's just say, hey, I see gay teenagers going through a struggle. When I was coming up, you didn't see outward expressions of that, but now, it is what it is. It happens. Years ago, my daughter, my daughter's 17 now.
Yeah.
She was, I think, 6 at the time, 6 or 7. And we were sitting on the couch looking at TV, and there was a gay-themed TV show that was on. And she said, "Ooh." And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Like 6 years old.
Yeah.
and I said, the first thing I thought of, I said, what if someone said, ooh, because you were biracial? And she looked at me with the kid eyes because she's still a kid.
Yeah.
And we had a talk, and that's how you break down a lot of ignorance and a lot of things and all that. So later in life, high school, grammar school, the whole thing, high school, now she has gay friends, and because I was questioning one boy, I said, who's the guy that keeps hanging around? Oh, Dad, he's gay, don't worry. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So That was my full circle moment for that. So I guess whatever I said resonated with her. So now, she even went to the Pride Parade last year, and it's like, earlier this year.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool. Now, if I was the type of parent that would have put that in her head and kept going, said that don't be part of that, that's not right, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
She would have grew up like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So maybe, in a sense, But, so yeah, you have to break that stuff down, in the beginning. But I was just amazed at 6 years old that she caught on to something like that. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, kids are smart. And they're perceptive too. And that's the thing. I'm 34, and when I, just growing up, I had such a diverse select of friends and acquaintances that, now as an adult, I see all the issues that, the social issues that we're kind of going through. And I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't understand how all of this, how it could be so chaotic with racism and just the history of this country. It's madness how people have let fear and hate control their lives. And and it's just such a waste of precious emotion and energy that we have to spend on hate and negativity when there's so many beautiful, awesome things that we get to experience from having this life that we do.
I'm anticipating, but I'm not inviting, some pushback on that song.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I had to get it out, and that's just what it is. Like the preacher, the pimp, the politician. I'm sure I'm going to get some kind of pushback on that. But that's working in the neighborhood that I work in. You see those three things,
right?
Basically. Like on the billboard, you see a politician. Say, vote for me, click punch 52 or whatever. And then you see literally 3 and 4 churches, storefront churches on a block, on any given block,
wow.
On the west side of Chicago.
Yeah.
And then, in some parts you'll see what might not be an obvious, the image of a pimp. But, if you worked on the west side and if you know the area, you know who's out there pimping. And you see those three things. It's like, wow, there's a common denominator is that they make people do things that they really don't want to do against their best interests.
Yeah.
You got poor people in a poor neighborhood, and there's literally, again, 3 or 4 churches, storefront churches on a block, and they are, made to pay 10% because that's what God said do, and it's like they can barely pay their rent.
Yeah.
But it's the gifts of pretty words or whatever. Or you see a politician, hey, vote for me, I can, do all this good stuff for you. I'll fill up the potholes in your neighborhood. Okay, all right. And sometimes it's against their best interest. I can get you jobs. You know what I mean? I can do this.
Yeah.
And then they cut the funding for schools. And then you got the pimp that's making a woman do something against her best interest. Out risking her life, selling her body to bring him the money.
Yeah.
So there's the common denominator is like pretty words. They all, some are flashy, most are flashy.
Yep.
And it's like, wow. So I had to write a song about that. It was right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you choose to see it, as a person, if you choose to see what's around you.
Right. And I think that's just what makes you unique as an artist. And really, and going back to 2016, that was a huge year for you because that's when you got signed to Alligator, which, if you don't know, it contains literally the who's who of blues musicians, guys like Elvin Bishop, James Cotton, Robert Cray, Lil Ed and the Blues Imperials, one of my personal favorite bands, Roomful of Blues. And that's literally just naming a few because there are so many artists on Alligator. And how crucial was it that you landed on that label?
I never thought that would happen because I have a regular job.
Right.
And I knew, like, Bruce would, he would want his guys out there on the road and, promoting products, and I'm thinking in my mind, because when I was with Delmont, I was doing, I was traveling overseas, using my vacation time and doing things, and, I was promoting myself pretty well or whatever, in case of retirement, whatever.
Yeah.
I was consistent in my gigs, I should say. I had a nice amount of gigs here in Chicago and Europe, but not so much outside of Chicago.
Right.
Not so much outside of Chicago. I would play the regular places down on Halsted, the regular clubs like everyone else. There's a truck going by. I would play the regular clubs like everyone else. You kind of get caught in that circular, kind of like, okay, I'm here, I'm there, and you really don't venture out too much. So when Alligator was like, hey, let's talk, I would talk to Bruce. I would ask, we would go to lunch, probably maybe 3 times a year, 3-4 times a year.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just cool to have a guy like that would return my phone calls, a guy with that kind of record label and that history, a guy that's got that kind of popularity with, in the blues world.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm saying it right. So and I was just using it for like, hey, I got blues questions, It was like, how much does this festival cost maybe, or what can I do to do this? Or just ask general questions, I'll pay for the meal. He never had to go in his wallet because, I'm trying to get some information from him. So that was my thing. It's like, okay, the meal was $30, whatever. I'm getting $1,000 worth of information from a guy that's been in the industry, that's a giant in the industry.
No doubt.
For $30. And that's what I do on the bus. I just kind of see how I can advance my career or whatever I'm doing without being a pest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Without being that guy that's always in someone's face like, hey, man, look at me. Check out my music. That kind of thing.
Right.
I was just, again, and that was one of the things I saw where he would answer my phone calls and answer my questions. And from Bruce, this thing is furthering the genre of blues. And so he was, I guess, for what he says, he was, it was reciprocal, where it was like, hey, this guy is really interested in carrying on blues, and I'm happy to give him information to, for him to continue doing it,
Yeah.
And so it was paying off for him too, not necessarily through me saying, well, okay, there's somebody here that's interested in the genre and is going to keep doing it,
Yeah.
He asked me to do a couple of gigs in places like if someone needed somebody, like a reference or something like that. And I think the thing that got him to sign me was someone wanted him to ask me to go to Europe, to Belgium. And I was, on my own, like what I was doing with, Delmark or whatever. But I didn't have management. It was just like, I had somebody looking out for me. Maybe I should, give him a second look, Maybe he can handle the itinerary, what we're going to do here. And we had another lunch because he called me this time. So he called him. He said, Jackson, let's talk. I was like, whoa, yeah. And it wasn't an immediate thing because literally several months after that, we were still talking and going through my songs and stuff. He was like, well, what do you have? And I gave him the songs that I had. And we would just, every Tuesday after work or Thursday, I would go to his house and we would just kind of go through his songs and, you know, fine-tune things. And then we along with me still working my gigs and, you know, working on the bus.
Yeah.
It was like several months before he said, okay, I'm committed to this project.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I've been a few I've ever had. That's like, well, thanks a lot, man. You know,
yeah,
extra great answers, but it's cool though.
Right. That's what. Well, it was right after that you got a ton of publicity because it was actually 2 years ago today that we're recording this that you threw out the first pitch at the Cubs game.
Oh wow, really? Did you? Okay, yeah, okay.
September 13th. I was like, that's kind of ironic.
Yeah. Dig that. So yeah, I need to promote that on Facebook. I think you know. But it's like I said, I mean, it's changed my life. You know, now the places that I didn't play in America, now I'm playing.
That's cool.
And it's, you know, and I always like when people say, oh my God, like after the show, they say, oh my God, where are you from? Like, you know, that kind of thing, you know, because, you know, I mean, the people that come to the shows, you know, for Blues Fest, see specific artists. And then when I do my thing, I guess they see a difference. And they say, whoa. You know, so now he's putting in the eyes of other people that never seen me, like in California and Florida, you know, New York, things like that. I mean, Michigan, of course, you know. Yeah. And different Pennsylvania, different places, you know. And I always like to be that guy where they say, wow, where did you come from? Why don't I know about you? Because now I'm like, well, you know, what do you know about me now? You know, that kind of thing.
That's really helpful too. And you're about to set out on tour as well. Like you said, there's Friday, I believe it's October 11th. You're going to be in Westland at the Token Lounge, a favorite venue over there. I believe it's Saturday the 25th you're in Grand Rapids. Or no, you know what? It's the 26th. You're going to be in Grand Rapids over there. And like I said, my dad's seen you a bunch of times, and we were talking about you like about a month or so ago because we were talking about some different shows we were going to see this summer. And he brought your name up, and I was like, I've been meaning to see this guy for a couple of years now. And when I saw you had 2 shows in Michigan, I was like, oh, that's perfect. We're going to hit those up for sure. And that's good. It's going to be a lot of fun. And since you've joined Alligator, obviously you're touring a lot more in different areas. Is there like any kind of like a dream tour that you would like to set up amongst, you know, you and other artists from Alligator as well? Because like I said, it's like the who's who of blues musicians on that label. Is there any kind of lineup that you'd love to take across the country?
Wow, I never thought of that. Thanks for putting me on the spot, man. No, I never. I figured anybody, like if there was a tour that could be made, I think with any Alligator artist or any other artist, I feel confident in my like show being like having a Chicago centric kind of show. Yeah. I think whatever they put together, you know, I'll be a nice add to it. You know what I mean? Absolutely. So, but I don't. I never thought about specific people to travel with because you know you can't always out here kind of like by yourself and you see guys on the road and it's like, oh wow, you're here too, my man, right on, that kind of thing. But I don't know about, you know, you doing 5 cities or 6 cities with the same guy, you on a big tour bus and all that stuff like back in the day, you know. Right. But I mean, of course, you know, everybody wants to do their best and everything like that. But my main, I guess, goal is just to represent Chicago well. That's good. So, you know, I would definitely come with the Chicago slant to everything and what I do, you know, what I bring to the stage, you know. Yeah. So, well, dude, thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. I'm excited to see you live for the first time. Like I said, going to be in Westland Friday, October 11th at the Token Lounge, and then Grand Rapids in October the 26th. It's a Saturday. If you guys can make it out, check out this dude. The new album's coming next Friday, September 20th, but I'm definitely looking forward to getting my hands on a hard copy of that album because I'm going to be wearing it out for sure. Thanks for hanging out with me, Toronzo. Cool. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, man. Thank you.